Hey everyone, welcome back. We're going to be doing a deep dive today into a potential AI earthquake that's brewing in the industry. And we're going to be unpacking this Motley Fool article that you sent over.
Okay.
DeepSeek isn't the only low-cost AI startup. Here's what it means for OpenAI and Nvidia.
Right.
Specifically, you're interested in learning how these new low-cost models from Chinese companies like DeepSeek and OpenAI could disrupt the giants like OpenAI and Nvidia. I mean, just think about this. DeepSeek built a model rivaling OpenAI's for a mere $5.6 million. Well, OpenAI spent a cool $20 billion.
Yeah, that's incredible.
That's quite a difference.
It really is. And I think what's so fascinating here is the potential for a massive shift in the AI landscape.
Right.
The article compares this situation to what happened with cell phone data costs.
Oh, yeah.
Remember when we used to ration every single megabyte?
Oh, yeah.
Now data is practically a utility and we use our phones for everything.
Right.
What if AI inference costs plummet the same way?
Okay, I see where you're going with this. Cheaper AI means way more people using it for everything.
Exactly.
But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's back up a bit.
Okay.
Who is this DeepSeek that's suddenly stealing the spotlight?
Yeah.
I wouldn't exactly expect a cutting-edge AI company to come out of the hedge fund world.
It is an interesting origin story. They actually spun out of a successful Chinese hedge fund called Highflyer back in 2023. They'd been using AI for years to power their trading algorithms.
Oh, interesting.
So they had a pretty solid foundation.
Yeah.
But the real innovation is how DeepSeek managed to build these powerful models at a fraction of the cost of their U.S. counterparts.
And their claim to fame is this V3 model, right? The one that's going head-to-head with OpenAI's GPT-4o?
Exactly. Their V3 model has everyone talking. It's achieving performance comparable to GPT-4o.
Wow.
Which is considered one of the most advanced models out there.
Okay.
And they pulled this off despite using less powerful GPUs because of those U.S. restrictions.
Hold on. They're working with weaker hardware and still managing to keep up.
Yeah.
How did they manage that? There has to be some secret sauce.
Their secret weapon is a combination of clever software engineering and a technique called distillation.
Distillation, okay.
Imagine a master craftsman training an apprentice.
Well,
The apprentice learns the techniques and achieves similar results, but with less experience and tools.
right.
That's distillation in a nutshell.
Okay.
They're essentially using a highly successful model like GPT-4o to train their smaller V3 model to a similar level of performance.
So they're learning from the best, which explains how they're achieving these results with less computing power.
Exactly.
But the Motley Fool article goes beyond just DeepSeek and suggests this could lead to the commoditization of AI as a whole.
Right.
What exactly does that mean, and why should we care?
It's a good question, and it gets to the heart of potential disruption. Commoditization basically means instead of a few big players controlling the market, you have loads of similar products from different companies all competing on price. Think of it like generic drugs versus brand name medications. They often have the same active ingredients but wildly different price tags.
Right.
In the AI world, this means we could see hundreds of large language models, or LLMs, flooding the market, all with pretty similar capabilities.
Got it.
And DeepSeek, with its low-cost approach, is positioned to be a major driver of this shift.
So it becomes less about which company has the best AI and more about who can make it affordable and accessible to everyone.
Right.
That definitely changes the playing field. But what does this potential shift mean for companies like OpenAI, who have built their dominance on having those vast resources to train these complex models?
It's a valid question. If smaller companies can achieve similar results with a fraction of the investment, OpenAI's advantage starts to erode.
Right.
They'll need to adapt and quickly.
Okay. So OpenAI might have a fight on their hands, but what about Nvidia? They're the ones making the GPUs that power all this AI magic. Surely they're sitting pretty no matter what, right?
Well, it's more nuanced than that. Nvidia's position is almost paradoxical.
Okay.
On one hand, if training AI gets cheaper, they might sell fewer of their high-end GPUs.
I see.
Why would everyone need the most expensive tools if you can get the same results with something more affordable?
Yeah, that makes sense.
But on the other hand...
if AI is everywhere, like you were saying earlier, wouldn't that mean a huge surge in demand for the processing power to actually run those applications? The inference part, right?
Exactly. If AI becomes as commonplace as smartphones, the demand for the infrastructure to run those models could explode.
Okay, I'm starting to see the dilemma here. Fewer GPUs for training, but potentially way more needed for all the new AI applications we'll be using.
Right.
And speaking of OpenAI, The Motley Fool article mentions a shift in thinking from Ilya Sutskever, one of their co-founders.
Yeah.
Apparently, he's changed his tune about what's important for building great AI.
It's a really interesting development. He used to be all about pre-training scaling,
Yeah.
which essentially means throwing more data and computing power at the problem to get the best AI models.
Right.
But now he's focusing on something called test time scaling.
Okay.
It's about creating models that are better at reasoning, spending more time thinking to get to a better answer.
Interesting.
OpenAI's latest models, GPT-4o1 to GPT-4o3, use this approach and are much better at problem solving than previous versions.
So it's not just about brute force anymore. It's about making the AI work smarter, not harder.
Right.
I wonder if this shift in focus could be OpenAI's way of differentiating themselves in this new world of low-cost competitors.
That's a great point. It'll be interesting to see how their strategy evolves.
Yeah.
But DeepSeek isn't the only one shaking things up.
Right.
The article also mentions another Chinese company, 01 AI, founded by Kai-Fu Lee, the former head of Google China.
Oh, right. 01.ai. They've got their own set of Yi models, right? What's the story there?
They're claiming their Yi models are competitive with DeepSeek's. And what's even more remarkable is their pricing. They charge a mere $0.10 per 1 million input tokens for inference.
Wow.
Which is even lower than DeepSeek's at 14 cents and a fraction of OpenAI's $2.50.
OpenAI is looking pretty expensive all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Do you think they can maintain their pricing strategy in the face of this low-cost competition? It feels like a David versus Goliath situation.
It definitely raises some questions about their future direction.
Yeah.
OpenAI's dominance has been built on being the first mover and having the resources to develop these expensive models.
Right.
But that advantage might not last forever.
Right.
And the same goes for NVIDIA.
Okay, so we've got DeepSeek and 01.ai shaking things up, OpenAI potentially needing to adapt, and NVIDIA facing a paradoxical future.
Yeah.
It sounds like a lot of uncertainty for these giants.
Definitely.
What's the article's take on how this all might play out?
The Motley Fool article highlights the upcoming quarterly earnings season as a key moment for both OpenAI and NVIDIA. Their announcements will give us a better sense of how they're adapting to these market shifts and what their strategies are for the future.
Right.
But before we get into those potential strategies, I think it's helpful to bring it back to that cell phone analogy the article mentioned.
Yeah, I agree. It's a great analogy.
It really helps paint a picture of just how dramatically AI could impact, well, everything.
I remember when cell phone data was so expensive, we used to ration every megabyte.
Right.
Checking email felt like a risky financial decision.
Yeah.
And then seemingly overnight, data plans became more affordable than unlimited, and it completely changed how we use our phones. They became central to our lives.
And if the cost of running these powerful AI models drops significantly,
right,
we could see a similar explosion in usage.
So instead of worrying about data overage charges, we'll be complaining about using up all our AI inference credits.
Right.
But jokes aside, what you're saying is that we're still in the early days of AI adoption. But if that cost barrier disappears, AI could become as ubiquitous as smartphones. It will literally be everywhere.
Precisely. And if that happens, the demand for the infrastructure to support all that AI,
right,
well, that's where companies like NVIDIA come in.
Yeah.
They are essentially supplying the picks and shovels for this AI gold rush.
Okay, so we've covered the rise of DeepSeek, the potential impact on OpenAI and NVIDIA, and this intriguing parallel to the cell phone revolution.
Uh-huh.
It sounds like we have a lot to unpack about what this all means for both the industry and for us as individuals.
Absolutely.
So we'll continue our deep dive after a quick message. Welcome back, everyone. Before the break, we were discussing DeepSeek and their potential to really disrupt the AI landscape. And, I keep coming back to that whole open source thing. It seems like such a different approach compared to what we've seen from, say, OpenAI, which has kept things pretty close to the chest.
You've hit on a crucial difference. OpenAI's approach has been very much a walled garden. You need their tech to use their models. DeepSeek, on the other hand, is all about making their models accessible for developers to tinker with, customize, and build upon without being tied to their ecosystem.
So to put it simply, it's the difference between buying a pre-built computer and building your own from scratch. You get a lot more flexibility and control with the open source route.
That's a perfect analogy. And that flexibility could be a huge draw for developers who are looking for more freedom to innovate.
Especially if those DeepSeek models are really as good as OpenAI's and a fraction of the cost. Why wouldn't developers make the switch?
That's the challenge OpenAI is facing. They've been relying on their technological edge and the appeal of their closed ecosystem.
Right.
But if those advantages start to fade, they'll need to adapt on quickly.
Okay, so OpenAI might be in for a fight, but how about Nvidia? They supply the GPUs, the hardware that makes all this AI magic happen. Aren't they in a good position regardless of who's winning the AI software race?
It's more complicated than that. As we were discussing earlier, Nvidia is in a fascinating position. The Motley Fool article points out that if training these models gets cheaper, thanks to companies like DeepSeek, proving you don't need the most expensive GPUs,
right,
the demand for those top-tier chips might actually go down.
It's like everyone's suddenly realizing they can bake a cake just as well with a regular oven, and those fancy industrial ovens aren't as necessary anymore.
Exactly. But here's the twist. As these models become cheaper and easier to use, we can expect to see a massive surge in their usage. Imagine if using AI became as common as using a smartphone.
I'm trying to wrap my head around that. We'd have our fridges ordering groceries, our cars driving themselves, heck, maybe even our toasters writing poetry.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe not the toaster part, but you get the idea. AI would be everywhere.
Exactly. And if that happens, the demand for processing power to run all those applications, the inference part, remember, will skyrocket.
So fewer GPUs needed for training, but potentially way more needed to support all these new AI applications that'll be popping up left and right. It's almost like NVIDIA needs to think beyond just making GPUs.
You're right. They need to become more than just a hardware company. They need to become the go-to platform for all things AI. Think about it. If AI is going to be as ubiquitous as smartphones, you need a robust and reliable infrastructure to support it. That means software cloud services and the whole ecosystem.
It sounds like they're facing a similar challenge to OpenAI adapt or risk being left behind. And if they play their cards right, they could end up being the backbone of this entire AI revolution.
Absolutely. They've already made moves in this direction with some software and cloud offerings, but they'll need to double down on those efforts to stay ahead of the curve.
So a lot of uncertainty, but also a lot of potential. The Motley Fool article mentions that we might get some more clarity during the upcoming earnings season. That's when we'll hear directly from companies like Nvidia and OpenAI about how they're adapting to all of this, right?
That's right. These announcements will be key to understanding their strategies for navigating these changing waters. But let's shift gears a bit and bring this back to you, the listener. We've explored how these developments might impact OpenAI and Nvidia, but the real question is, what does it all mean for you?
Yeah.
How might this AI revolution impact your industry, your job, and your life?
That's what I'm most curious about. We've talked about the tech giants, the market shifts, but AI is so much bigger than that. It's already impacting our lives in countless ways, and these changes are only going to accelerate.
Exactly. Imagine if AI becomes as affordable and accessible as electricity.
Wow.
How would that change the power dynamics in your field? What opportunities might emerge? What challenges would you need to be prepared for?
These are some really big questions. I think it's easy to get caught up in the hype and headlines, but we need to remember that AI isn't just some abstract concept. It's a powerful tool that can be used to solve problems, create new possibilities, and maybe even change the world.
It's like we're handing everyone a set of incredibly powerful tools, and what we build with them is up to us. But before we can even start building, we need to understand the potential implications.
Right. What happens when AI can write better marketing copy than you, or code a website faster than a team of developers? Are these skills that will become obsolete, or will they evolve into something new entirely?
Those are important questions to consider. The job market will undoubtedly be impacted by AI, so it's crucial to be aware of these shifts and adapt. But remember, disruption also breeds innovation. History has shown us time and time again that new technologies create new opportunities, new industries, and new ways of working.
So it's not about fearing AI, it's about understanding its potential and finding ways to work alongside it. What skills will be most valuable in this new world?
I believe the skills that will be most valuable are the ones that AI can't replicate. Creativity, critical thinking, problem-solving, emotional intelligence. These are the human skills that will become even more important as AI takes on more routine tasks.
So in a way, AI could free us up to focus on what we do best, being human.
Exactly. It's about seeing AI not as a replacement, but as a powerful tool that can augment our abilities and help us achieve things we never thought possible.
Okay, so we've gone from hedge funds to cell phones to the future of work. It's amazing how these threads all connect. And I think that's what makes this deep dive so fascinating. It's not just about one thing. It's about how AI is impacting everything around us.
That's the beauty of knowledge. It's all interconnected. And as we explore the world of AI further, I'm sure we'll uncover even more intriguing connections and insights.
So where do we go from here? What's next on our AI journey?
Well, now that we've explored the potential disruption and the broader implications, I think it's time to get even more personal. In the last part of our deep dive, we'll delve into some specific questions you might have about how AI could impact your own life and work.
Stay tuned because we're about to get really practical. We're back, and in this final part of our deep dive, we're going to get down to brass tacks. We've talked about how these low-cost AI models are shaking up the industry, but let's bring it back to you. How might this AI revolution actually play out in your world?
Yeah, it's easy to get lost in the abstract, but the truth is the AI revolution is already happening. And it's not just about tech giants duking it out for market share. It's about the very real potential for AI to solve problems, create opportunities, and reshape how we live and work.
Right. It's much bigger than just headlines and stock prices. And I think what's really exciting, maybe even a little bit daunting, is how accessible this technology is becoming. I mean, if AI becomes as readily available and inexpensive as electricity, what kind of impact could that have on your industry, on your specific job?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? We could see AI being used to hyper-personalize education, create more effective healthcare treatments, automate those tedious tasks we all hate, and even generate entirely new forms of art and entertainment. The possibilities are really mind-boggling.
It's like we're giving everyone a set of these incredibly powerful tools. And that brings up a whole other set of questions. What will you do with those tools? What happens when AI can write a more persuasive marketing campaign than you? Or code a website faster than a whole team of developers? Should we be worried about our jobs becoming obsolete?
It's natural to have those concerns. The job market will definitely be impacted by AI, and some roles will inevitably change or even disappear. But it's important to remember that disruption often paves the way for innovation. Think about the printing press. It displaced scribes, but it also opened up a whole new world of communication and knowledge sharing. We might see something similar happen with AI.
So instead of getting stuck in a fear mindset, we should be focusing on the opportunities that AI might create.
Exactly. And that means focusing on the skills that AI can't replicate, the things that make us uniquely human. Creativity, critical thinking, complex problem-solving, emotional intelligence, empathy. These are the skills that will become even more valuable in an AI-driven world.
So in a way, AI could free us up to focus on what we humans do best, thinking outside the box, connecting with each other on a deeper level, and using our ingenuity to solve those really messy problems that algorithms just can't handle.
Precisely. It's not about being replaced by AI. It's about learning to work alongside it, seeing it as a partner that can amplify our abilities and help us achieve things we never thought possible. Instead of fearing AI, we can embrace it as a tool that has the potential to make us better, smarter, and more effective in everything we do.
That's a really empowering way to look at it. And it brings us back to a point we touched on earlier. This isn't just about tech giants battling it out for market dominance. It's about what we as individuals, as a society, choose to do with this incredible technology.
Absolutely. The future of AI isn't some predetermined outcome. It's something we're actively shaping through our choices and actions. It's up to each of us to decide how we want to use these tools, what kind of world we want to build with them, and what role we want to play in this exciting new era.
So what's the main takeaway for our listeners today? What should they be thinking about as they navigate this rapidly evolving landscape?
The AI revolution is here. And it's not just something happening out there in the tech world. It's something that will touch each of our lives in profound ways. The key is to stay curious, keep learning, and don't be afraid to ask questions. Embrace the change, explore the possibilities, and most importantly, think critically about how you can use this technology to create a better future for yourself and the world around you.
I love that. Embrace the change, stay curious, and don't be afraid to ask questions. That's great advice for just about anything in life, not just navigating the AI revolution.
You're absolutely right. And with that, I think we've reached the end of our deep dive into the world of AI and low-cost models. It's been a fascinating journey, and we hope you found it insightful.
We'd love to hear your thoughts. What are your predictions for the future of AI? How do you think it will impact your life and work? Share your insights and predictions in the comments below.
Until next time, keep exploring and stay curious.